So we saw Stacy Higginbotham, a journalist who writes extensively about all the recent innovations in tech, visit a 3 million square feet big John Deere factory to see how their latest wireless developments are going. In today's video, we'll go over all the details about how John Deere decided to come up with its own cellular network and all the benefits this move poses for them. First up, John Deere's quest to make its own cellular network. It might sound astonishing to you, but from what we've heard, John Deere has invested a total of $500,000 since 2020 into its Moline harvester plant, a property that covers around 3 million square feet. Now, the thing is, they built this factory to support its latest investment in technological innovation, bringing wireless cellular networks into factories. We all know how crucial it is to make things work as smoothly as possible inside these places, and looks like that's exactly what John Deere wants as well. Those $500,000 went into developing 50 megahertz of wireless spectrum in a total of 5 counties in the American Midwest. A lot of equipment for their tractors is assembled inside this factory, and it requires some intense work. With the wireless cellular network in the picture, you can imagine that it can only get better. What's more, John Deere's developed it all on its own, so its quest to become the best should definitely pay off. Up next, the way IT has integrated itself into the workings of factories. Times are changing. We continually see new advancements, and it only makes sense to see them brought into factories. We saw factory workers being replaced by robots to increase efficiency and profits, and now we've come to a point where we're seeing IT take over almost every other field out there. The same goes for bringing IT into how things go about inside our factories. That seems just the exact vision John Deere had been aiming for with this decision to build its own cellular network inside the Moline harvester plant. A lot of work goes into assembling the parts of all the different equipment John Deere makes. You must admit, it's pretty hard even just imagining all the steps that need to be taken to finish the assembly of these machines. Well, that's where John Deere has decided to incorporate IT. Can you imagine just how much work can be done if factories are turning to IT for all those steps of assembly? Yeah, it makes all the work faster. What's more, IT provides better precision, and we can't ever ignore to factor that in here. Now for John Deere's history of incorporating IT into its various factories. Okay, look, the thing is, this isn't the first time we're seeing John Deere turn to IT. In fact, the company's got a history with IT, and we're going to go over it. We already mentioned how the company invested $500,000 into 50 megahertz of wireless spectrum, and the entire aim here was to make their factories more modern. But this isn't something recent. They've been doing this for quite some time, and only now have they seen their actions come to fruition. For years, John Deere has hired the services of Ethernet for its many factories. They've been pretty serious about IT and its innovations because they went as far as coming up with their own plant for manufacturing software. Now, tell us that isn't some true dedication to a vision. It sure is. From what we've heard, the Moline plant has various Wi-Fi networks in use, and they also seem to be experimenting with Bluetooth and other wireless services. We all know the future's going to be wireless. That's just how things seem to be transitioning, and to see companies like John Deere already preparing themselves for these possibilities, that truly is something. Coming up, going wireless is the talk of the town these days. The whole reason Stacy visited that huge John Deere factory was to look into their whole wireless vibe. She went ahead and talked in detail with Stacy Schrauben, manager of technologies at the tractor company. Tracy talked about how wireless has been pretty in recently, and the reason for that is that it makes all the work better. John Deere's aim with bringing wireless into their factories is to easily rearrange workstations in case there's a last-minute change in plans or products. With wireless, these changes become more seamless. What's more, wireless will be much more cost-effective when used in situations like that. Not just that, it'll help save time too. Otherwise, the Ethernet drops can be quite a hassle in factories like this. Moving on, what's the advantage of using wireless networks on factory equipment? Okay, so we've covered plenty of advantages about wireless, but another big one is how wireless can help collect more data. That's the biggest plus point about it right now. The factories contain welding equipment, and they've got some sensors attached to them. With wireless, there's the possibility of getting information on how to have the best welds. After that, a whole new algorithm can be created related to that. But that's not all. Data about various vibrations can be used to create a predictive maintenance algorithm. You see how wireless can be used in a couple of cool ways to generate a lot of productivity in setups like such factories. Next, why is John Deere switching to wireless cellular networks? So with wireless on its hands, you must be wondering what John Deere's final goal is with such a project. Well, it's no surprise the company's looking to switch almost all of its equipment to cellular. Yeah, you heard that right, all of their equipment. The 5G network that the company's building is based on the company's Citizens Broadband Radio Service, CBRS. Jason Wallen, the prime architect working at John Deere, believes that the number of these cellular sensors is just going to grow more after this. We'll be seeing an increase by 20 times, and in order to support that, they'll need the power of 5G networks. Otherwise, it doesn't seem very possible. Here's what technologist Jason Ryan has to say. Now, we've definitely got a transition to wireless in the making, but there's also the question of how much you can trust such a network. Well, for that, we'll be looking at what Jason Ryan, a technologist at John Deere, has to say. Jason opened up about how they're looking to use programmable logic controllers for supporting these 5G networks over the CBRS. It's an incredibly bold move when you think of it, because such programmable logic controllers have to respond rather quickly, and what's more, it's of the utmost importance that they should be as secure as possible. John Deere is hoping that it can support such an ambitious technological advancement for its own 5G cellular network. Now, here's all we know about their Moline harvester plant. Well, it's about time we dive into all the details that Stacy gathered about the Moline harvester plant and all that's happening inside this John Deere factory that's now operating on its own wireless network. Okay, so there are around 14 long-term evolution microcells in the operation at the plant, and you would be surprised to learn that they can power almost 1/3 of the factory. Yeah, just 14 microcells can do that. It's more than adequate for the plant's current needs. What's more, each microcell contains about 200 devices of wireless networks, and each delivers data at a speed of 100 megabytes per second. With those figures, you can understand just how absolutely impressive this project has been, and all the time and money that can be saved with such a self-delivered wireless infrastructure in place. A complete transition would make things more than perfect, and that's exactly John Deere's goal. Let's learn what John Deere did to build this cellular network. As you know, wireless can't grow overnight. To make this work, the tractor company had to invest more in its wireless department, and in order to make that happen, they started by growing the whole department by almost 20%. And look how far that 20% has gotten them. To make the build, they worked with a very private cellular equipment vendor. Sadly, they refused to share the name of this vendor, and we get that. The need to keep your most important assets close and away from the public eye. We've got the results of all this effort. They've got their own technological network to rely on, and moving forward, they're definitely going to expand to more factories in the US and eventually try to sign deals with countries like Mexico, Germany, and India, because if anything, it's a bright opportunity to initiate business deals. Finally, how is this move going to benefit John Deere? First things first, the biggest benefit for John Deere out of this decision is how it saved them a lot of money. Other than that, it's also a way for them to improve their factory operations. In light of this, we're expecting other companies to follow John Deere's example and try to bring 5G networking into their own plants as well. We expect that soon, John Deere will be acting as a guide for other companies when they decide to make a switch to wireless. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think having its own 5G network is a great move for John Deere? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.